Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having an unbelievable week. I know it's been challenging for me and the team, but that's because we are striving for the exceptional, the extraordinary. We are aimed at touching and positively impacting the lives of 1 million people today. First and foremost, I don't know if this person is even going to see this, but I tried to respond to a comment that was subsequently deleted or from whatever reason from the channel. But the person who goes by the handle on YouTube of, oh, let me find it because this is really important. I'm sorry and I apologize, everyone. But God, Black Onyx TV. You reached out and said that you were in the Houston area and you really needed to talk. There was some things going on, and it was on a video on mental health. Please email me at ceo@rickwallacephd.link. That's my direct email address, and you can get to me, and we can set up a time to talk. And we can talk about whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever it is you're going through. So I tried to respond to the comment, but for whatever reason, the comment was no longer there. And so I'm hoping that you see this video and that you do get what you need to reach out and contact me. On that note, let's move forward. Those of you who follow me know that we are right now really excited about the Epic Realm community of high achievers. The Epic Realm community of high achievers is a community I created to create an environment of support, inspiration, instruction, direction, strategy. We've been doing Q&A sessions. We launched a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do those every week. We're doing courses on business, courses on finances. All of this is a part of the membership. I designed it specifically, primarily for it to be a place where like-minded people could come connect and find different elements and components of their circle. It's so important to build your circle, to purposefully and intentfully, deliberately construct your circle based on what it is you're trying to do. And I have really, truly invested a great deal in doing that. So if you have not signed up for the Epic Realm membership, that link is in the box. Now let's talk. One of the things that I think people fail to do is they fail to see the importance of being detail oriented. People have a tendency to look at the more pronounced elements and components of whatever it is they're dealing with. They tend to look at the things that most people will recognize and pay attention to. But I want you to understand something, that the attention is in the detail. It's the small little things that you don't give attention to, that you don't think nobody will notice, that can completely derail your mission, completely derail your journey towards your goals. It is literally one of the most important things that I teach is the attention to detail, the small things that you think nobody will know. What time you're waking up, how are you approaching your day? Who are you talking to first? How do you approach each and every encounter with an individual on a micro level? It's so important to pay attention to the detail. Nobody's going to know what time you wake up. Nobody's going to know how many books you read. Nobody's going to know how many times you evaluate different forms of information to come up with an answer, solution, or a concept that will be presented to the public. Nobody knows what goes on before I literally present a concept or a program or a course to the public. Nobody knows how many studies I've read, how many studies I've conducted, how many books I've read, how many books I've written on the topic before you see the finished product but it's all in the detail. It's the small little, seemingly unimportant elements and components of what it is that you're trying to do that is going to have the most impact on a long-term scale. It's easy to focus on, the people, will people like it? Is it aesthetically uh, pleasing? Does it sound good? The thing is, I see so many people that are out there that are getting all of this body work done, male and female. They're getting all this, but they're getting the outer work done, but they're not working on here. They're not working on what's going on here. And what I can tell you is, if you don't get to a point where you are literally changing the way you think, the way you move, the way you operate, the way you behave, what I can tell you is that what's going on the outside won't matter. The thing is, matter of fact, once you get the things going on here, the things on the outside take a secondary position. They're simply the things that will fall out. There's nothing wrong with having a nice body. There's nothing wrong with doing things to make yourself look better aesthetically. But you'll find that the more you do work here, the more you feel good about who you are here. And then the things that need to change, if you're not living a healthy lifestyle, will automatically change when you do the work here. It's got to start here. It's got to be in the detail, the little minute details of how you think, how you talk, how you speak. Yesterday, I told you about the importance of the system that you operate in. There's a system, and most people can't get what they want because the system is corrupted. The system is made of three primary components: how you speak, how you think and interpret things or understand things, and how you think. So you've got speech, interpretation, and understanding, or perception is probably a more common term that people get: perception and how you think. All of these things impact one another. All these things reinforce the other. But if you don't have an alignment on that, if you don't have your system aligned with what you're trying to do, if you don't have the details in order, you're going to have problems. A lot of people don't get it. It's the little small things in your speech that you don't even give attention to that's disrupting the harmony of the ideas and thoughts that you're trying to get aligned in your mind. On the conscious level, that's this one thing going on. This is what I want to do. I want to do A, B, C, and D. But on the subconscious level, you've got this program that you're running that's being fed by your self-talk, by your interpretation, and by what you're engaging in. And it's being given prevalence because it's constantly being said, it's constantly being heard, it's constantly being viewed, and it's repeating itself. And it's in diametric opposition to what the things you're saying on a conscious level is. You're saying, I want to improve my finance. I want to improve my relationship. I want to start a business. I want to change my career. I want to be more happy. I want to be more fulfilled. But the problem is that you aren't aligning your talk is saying something completely different. You have a desire of a victor, but you're talking like a victim. You have a desire to be financially set, but you're talking like someone who is perpetually broke. This is, again, we're not talking our circumstance. We're not talking our situation. We're talking our declaration. And that's one of the problems that we have. Most people are talking their situation. Most people are talking their circumstances. You're talking about what's in front of you. You're talking about what you're living in now. You're talking about where you came from. That's not the focus. That's not how you talk. You talk your destiny. You talk what it is you are believing for yourself, or you're speaking for yourself, or you're declaring for yourself. You talk it as if it had already happened. You speak it because the subconscious does not have the ability to decipher or distinguish between what is being imagined and spoken and actually happening. And so what you can do is you can create a reality of what you are declaring in the subconscious, and the subconscious begins to formulate a behavior in thought, a behavior in deciphering, a behavior in problem solving based off of the established reality. So you can either sit up and consult your past, you can either consult your circumstances, or you can consult what you declare and establish for your life. But it's going to be in those details. What are you saying? What are you saying on a micro level? Little simple things like, I can't win. No matter what, I can't win. Can't win for losing, can't win. Here we go again, just another bad thing. I'm broke. All these little things that we tend to say that is a reflective of how we're interpreting the moment. And there'll be a person in the same situation you're in. Let's say the term I'm broke. There's one person that's sitting up saying, I'm broke, man. I'm tired of being broke. All the little things, I'm tired of being broke. I'm so tired of being, I don't want to be broke anymore. All those things, but you're constantly talking about being broke. You don't realize you're giving power to the idea of being broke, despite the fact that that's what you're saying you don't want, but you're giving power to it. On the flip side, someone else, same bank account, same situation, is sitting up saying, I got a cash flow problem. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to solve my cash flow problem by blah, 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 whatever. But the cash flow problem doesn't say I'm broke. Cash flow problem says that there is a need to inject some stimulus into creating more cash flow. It's understanding that I have value outside of the currency in my bank account. And most people don't get that. Somebody said, will you ever be broke? No, I'll never be broke, no matter how much is in my bank account, because the value of who I am is actually on the outside of the bank account. What's on the inside of the bank account is because of the value of what's in my head. In other words, I can always create something where I can express the value of my knowledge, the value of my experience, the value of my skill set that will produce revenue. So as long as there's something in my mind that can produce revenue, I'm not broke. That may be a cash flow problem, but there's never a situation where I'm broke, because I'm as wealthy as I can think, and I can think in ways unimaginable to produce realities unimaginable. And that's the thing you have to learn. You've got to learn how to scope and create and sculpture your talk, your self-talk, and your thinking based off of an idea that you are immensely and infinitely wealthy based on how you think. The problem is you've locked out the capacity to think beyond the scope of what you've experienced. So because you are constantly consulting your past or constantly consulting your present moment, you're not entertaining the idea of something greater. You're constantly being restricted and reminded, this, hey man, you were born poor. This is where you've been. This is how it's always been. You never made more than this in your entire life. And now you actually think that you're going to do that, but you got to get out of that. You got to understand that your past does not have the power to confine you unless you acquiesce to it, unless you consistently consult it, unless you give it power to reside in the present. And if it resides in the present, it's going to have an impact on the future. You've got to sit up and actually look at what's in the past, observe what's in the present, and decide if what's in the present is something that you want to give power to. And if it is not, then you consult the future. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You consult the future, and the future can be anything you want it to be, because the future has not yet been lived in the third dimension. So you can sit up and say, the future, I'm going to be a millionaire. The future, I'm going to be a wise investor. In the future, I'm going to spend money wisely. In the future, I'm going to be a money manager. In the future, I'm going to do this. In the future, I'm going to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, a consultant, or whatever it is that's going to produce this thing. You can sit up and say, this I am becoming, I am going to be, I am whatever. But when you start to consult the past, you can only function at the level of what you've already experienced. When you're consulting your condition, situation that you're currently in, you're again living in that moment. And then you're not giving yourself the power to function and move outside of it. You got to pay attention to how you move. You got to pay attention to the details. What are you giving power to in your life? That's the question. What are you giving power to? What is it that you're giving power to? What is it that you're sitting up and giving power to? And the thing is, most people are giving power to their problems. And then on the flip side of things, there are other people who are having the same situation and circumstances and won't even acknowledge them as problems. I heard Quincy Jones once say, I don't have problems, I have puzzles. Well, that's a completely different mindset of how you're focusing and how you're interpreting a situation. If you look at it as a problem, it's a heavy weight. If you look at it as a puzzle, you already know it needs to be solved. So now you're looking for a solution instead of focusing on what? A problem. Same situation, different interpretation. I told you, this system that you function on is speech, how you speak, how you interpret and understand, and how you think. Well, if I'm interpreting and understanding everything as a problem, eventually it gets unbelievable. If the only way you can see yourself is as a hammer, everything you see is going to be a nail. So if the only thing you can see is a person that's burdened by problems, or a person that's in the state of poverty, everything you see is going to be a mechanism of that impoverished state, or it's going to be a mechanism of the inability to create avenues outside of your current condition or career or whatever it is that you're dealing with. You've got to be able to see dynamically. You've got to be able to see fluidly in your ability to move and operate and solve situations. You have everything there is you need in order to do what it is you're going to do. Is it going to be easy? No. But is it possible? Absolutely. It's your responsibility to find the possibilities, to find the opportunities. Where the opportunities don't exist, you create them. You keep moving, you keep fighting, you keep standing, you keep looking, and you build. You find like-minded people who are willing to build. You find people who have done what you have are trying to do. If you can get close to them and connect with them, then that's what you do. You connect with the people who are doing or have done what you're trying to do. If you can't get close to them, get as close as you can and observe from a distance. Watch their patterns, watch their speech, watch how they move, watch what they give their time to. What you're going to find is there is that success leaves patterns, success leaves clues. Well, what are some of the clues that success leaves? Well, if you study, you'll find out that most people who are successful are early risers. Doesn't mean that there aren't people who sleep in, but as a general rule, the earlier you get up, the more prepared you are for your day. You're less likely to be in a rush. You're less likely to be frustrated. You're less likely to start your day in a cluster of frustration because you're entering your day in control of your day. Because the earlier you wake up, the more time you have to set your state. And if you're not setting your state in the morning, then you're actually surrendering to the circumstances and the situations of the day. And whatever's going on that morning, if it's not a good thing, then that's going to be a problem. Okay, so when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I establish a mindset of gratitude. Why? Because when gratitude is present, there are a bunch of things that cannot be simultaneously present. If I'm in a state of gratitude, I cannot be envious, I cannot be hateful, I cannot be angry, I cannot be frustrated, I cannot be fearful, I cannot possess anxiety. Why? Because in a state of gratitude, I am having a heart of thanksgiving. I am having a mindset of thankfulness, and it's acknowledging that there are some things in this life to be grateful for. Now, gratitude is actually the gateway to abundance. Why? Because you have to have the capacity to appreciate what you have before you can be able to accumulate and hold on to more. You cannot sit up and be whining and complaining, pointing out every problem, being pessimistic about everything, and expect a flow of abundance to move into your life. That's not how it works. How does it work? You set the state. You wake up. The first thing I do is I establish gratitude. Before I ever get out of the bed, I establish gratitude. The next thing I establish is power. In establishing power, I acknowledge there are going to be puzzles. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be situations. But I tell myself, no matter what it is, I see it as an illusion. Why? Because I have the mind of God. And what does that mean? That the mind of God is never puzzled. The mind of God has never met anything that it excites fear. There are no problems and illusions to the mind of God. Why? Because the mind of God has the answer to every problem that you are perceiving as a problem. And so, in other words, I tell myself, before I even recognize that there's a challenge, the answer is already on the way. I don't become frenetic and unglued when things aren't moving at the pace I think they should. Drives a lot of people crazy because they're losing their mind. We got to have this now. We got to, no, there's never going to be a time when it doesn't arrive. It will arrive, and if it arrives in a manner in which we conceive it to be late, it will come with the reward of for it being late, and it will handle any disruption that you thought it being late created. And so it actually is never late. The longer it takes for the answer to arrive, the more potent and powerful the outcome of having the answer. So I am never frenetic. I am never unglued. I'm never losing my mind. And there are always these pressing moments because I'm always striving for something greater. I am never seeking comfort. I'm seeking greatness. I'm seeking to be better than I was yesterday. I am seeking to be more impactful in this world. And with that comes challenges. With that comes a level of resistance because you are really, truly trying to raise up. So in essence, what do you have to do? You have to create the right mindset. Well, when you wake up early, you do that. What are some of the other patterns of success? Well, we know that while statistics reveal that only, the average American only reads one book a year, the most successful top 5% performers read a minimum of 4 books a month. 4 books a month. I try to do 2 a week. That's a goal I set years and years and years ago. And you do the math. What does that give you in a year? I've been doing it for years. People say it couldn't be done. And I read that somebody had did it years and years and years before me, John Wesley. And if John Wesley could do it, so could I. And I set out to do it. And the first couple of years was challenging because, again, it's getting into a process of reading and trying to get it out down. But then you get a system, and then you develop different reading techniques that allows you to read and retain at a more rapid pace. And then it just becomes a part of nature. You've got to consume. And guess what happens when I do that? When I do that, I'm reading a minimum of 10 pages of something a day. What does that mean? I never go to bed the same person that woke up. So I'm intentionally growing by choosing what I feed my mind, but I'm feeding my mind every day. And what happens? I expand my mind. So I'm never the person I was before. Guess what happens if I do that every day? 365 days from now, I'm going to be distinctively and decisively better than the person that's sitting before you now. And it's just by a little of the details. Look, I'm going to read 10 pages minimum a day. I'm going to pay attention to my self-talk. I'm going to be aware of my thinking. I cannot express with enough emphasis and severity the importance of managing your mindset. I cannot. A lot of what you're going through, if you're unhappy, if you're miserable, if you're frustrated with your outcomes, is your thinking. Your thinking produces a new perceptive reality. So that now you're filtering everything you see through a different lens. That's why you get people who come from the same background, going through the same situations, ending up with distinctively different outcomes. Perception, the mindset and the lens through which you're viewing life, your paradigm is setting you up. And so you're going to have to understand that. Look, I've got to get off. I've got a client I've got to get with in 5 minutes. I need to get prepared for that. But I just wanted to leave you with that. Look, if you haven't joined the Epic Realm community of high achievers, where we're coming together to create an environment of positivity, an environment of empowerment, an environment of inspiration. We're going to have classes weekly. We're going to have Q&A sessions every Saturday so that you can table your concerns, your ideas, the things you're going through. We have a breakout room for mental health, for business ownership, and we're developing more rooms as we go. I created this for the people who want to change the level at which they're living their lives. If you haven't joined, the link is in the description box. There's also a link in there for people who want to work directly with me. You can check that out as well, but definitely sign up for this program. We are already doing something great, and we just launched. And I'm excited about what we're going to do in 2022. 2022 can be the most epic year of your life, but it's not going to happen simply because you wish it to. You're going to have to take control of it, and you're going to have to make something happen. You're going to have to literally do it. I want to help you do it. One of the first steps towards letting me help you is to join this membership and become a part of this family, this network, this group of growing individuals. We are all growing. We're in different spaces, but we're all growing. On that note, I am out of here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I will down E. All that simply means is I'm not going to leave anything untapped. I'm going to use every ounce of my potential to be an impact in this world. And I challenge you to do the same.